Today we're talking about one of the most important early steps you take when buying a dental practice. Deciding what type of practice you want to own. Not all dental practices are the same. You want to find the perfect practice that aligns with your personality, your likes and dislikes, and your values. Before you even start looking for a practice, it's crucial to have a plan. In this video, we're going to look at some of the key considerations that you're going to want to make before becoming a practice owner. Number 1, understand why you want to be an owner. Here are some common reasons. Setting your own hours. As an owner, you get to decide when you want to work. If you have certain times of the day that you prefer working, or certain days of the week that you want to take off, it's up to you. You get to set the hours. Making more money. As an owner, you have the potential to make so much more money than you do as an employee. Maybe you're looking to buy a house, maybe you're looking to pay off your student loans, maybe you want some extra money to travel. Regardless of why you want the money, practice ownership is the way to achieve it. Be your own boss. No more answering to someone else. You are in charge. Maybe you're looking to express your creativity. As an owner, you get so many more ways to be creative than when you're working as an associate. You get to design, manage, and grow your practice however you want. Maybe you want more autonomy. As a practice owner, you get to decide who you work with. You get to decide what procedures you want to do. You get to make the decisions. Now, these were some of the reasons that I decided to jump into practice ownership. Maybe you have some others. Write them down and keep them with you as you move through this process. Number 2, you need to decide where you want to practice. When I first started searching for a practice, I was way too narrow-minded. I was only looking at one very specific area for practices that were for sale. But once I opened up my horizons, I was able to find tons and tons of practices that were for sale, some of them at incredible values. So unless you have a reason that you absolutely have to live in a certain city, I recommend broadening your search and checking out other options. Once you start looking at all the options, you're going to have two very different type of practices to choose from. You have city practices and rural practices. City practices generally come with higher overhead, higher staff costs, more competition, but you're going to have access to more specialists to refer to, and insurance reimbursement rates are potentially going to be higher. Now with rural practices, you're going to have a more loyal patient base, lower overhead costs, and typically much less competition for new patients. But the main thing is deciding, what do you prefer? Do you like living in cities or do you like living in the country? Both options have huge potential. You just have to decide what's best for you. Number 3, practice size. You have to decide if you would rather run a large practice or a small practice. In smaller practices, you're going to have more time with patients, smaller teams, and less management responsibility. If you go for a larger practice, you're going to have a larger team to manage, you're going to have a busier environment with more patients, and you're going to need to invest more time in setting up systems. However, the potential for returns are far greater in large practices. Reflect on your leadership style and the working environment that you prefer. Number 4, what type of patient base do you want to see? Whether you're a general dentist or a specialist, you have a choice as to which type of patient you want to see. The most straightforward way to control your patient base is to decide your insurance strategy. The type of patients you're going to see in a practice that accepts Medicaid is completely different from the type of patient you're going to see in a practice that's primarily PPO based. And if you prefer to spend your time on fewer but higher paying patients, you might want to focus on building your cash paying patients. You need to do your research on the area that you're going to practice and see what type of insurance plans are offered and how that's going to affect the demographics of your practice. Finally, you want to decide on your vision for growth. With this, you have two primary options. You can go for a value practice or a lifestyle practice. With a value practice, your goal is to grow this business as big as you possibly can. When it comes time to sell this business, your production is going to be so high that your equity in this practice is going to allow you to sell this practice for an incredibly large amount of money. If the value practice is your goal, you want to focus on marketing. You want to have 50 to 100 new patients coming through the door every month. Your goal is to build your hygiene practice up to have tons of patients on the schedule. You might have 4, 5, 6 hygienists working at your office. You are not going to be able to see all these patients by yourself. You're going to have to hire other dentists to come in and help you. With these types of practices, you want to focus on the general dentistry, the types of procedures that are going to be covered by insurance. You probably don't want to waste your time on things like endo and implants. You want to focus on treatment planning, crowns, extractions, and high budget things that are going to be covered by patients' insurance plans. Clear aligners can be a good add-on in this type of practice, as those typically don't require as much time from the dentist. But for the most part, your goal is going to be building up a strong hygiene and general dentistry practice. Now, on the other hand, maybe you're going for a lifestyle business. You don't want a big practice. You don't want to have to hire a ton of employees. You want to have a small, effective team where you're making as much money as possible per patient. And this is the type of practice where you can cut back to 3, maybe 2.5 days a week. You're going to drop all the low-paying insurance plans, and you're going to focus on only doing those procedures that you personally enjoy doing. Because you're not focused on building up the insurance side of your practice, you can focus on higher budget procedures that are typically not covered by insurance. Some dentists get into providing general anesthesia, some focus on TMJ and sleep appliances, some like to focus on implants and advanced prosthetics, others like to focus on veneers and high-end aesthetics. The point is, with this type of practice, you're going to become extremely good at something, and then you're going to sell it at a very high price. Both of these are valid business models. You just have to decide which one is best for you. Planning and discovery are crucial steps before buying a dental practice. Knowing why you want to be an owner, where you want to live, and what type of practice you want to run is going to set you up for success.